According to the World Economic Forum, Jesus is fake news, God is dead, and you don't have a soul. You are a hackable animal who does not have the capacity for free will. Controlling data, controlling especially biomedical data, as you expect. If you're BlackRock and you basically cornered the entire global market, you're the largest, you and Vanguard are the largest corporations in the world, and nobody knows who's on your board, of course you'd want to buy these companies so you have access to everybody's biomedical data.
O Lord of hosts, be with us, for we have none other help in times of adversity but Thee. O Lord of hosts, have mercy on us.
For those of you that are aware, the World Economic Forum orders, again, does it order government? Not exactly. This is a bit hyperbole. As you guys that watch InfoWars would probably see that Alex Jones actually covered this topic. To ban the Bible, issue fact-checked version without God. Now, what they are saying, and I'm going to play the clips. There's a couple clips from two different interviews with Yuval Noah Harari here, and it ties into what the World Economic Forum has been promoting as misinformation. Okay, so are they explicitly going to say, no, we got to ban the Bible? No, but you can kind of connect the dots here because they're going to talk about the Bible being fake news, Christ being fake news. This is all misinformation. All religions believe that their Bibles or their religious texts are written by supernatural entities, which they're not. So therefore, we need to use an advanced artificial intelligence to actually write a religious book that would be, as Yuval Noah Harari says, correct. And once it's correct, then we'll have a universal global religion that people can now fully appreciate. So what we're seeing here is that the World Economic Forum is pushing for an immense censorship of what they consider fake news, misinformation, hate speech, all these different things. So I have a handful of articles where we're going to see just within the last 4 years or so, the idea that the Bible's filled with hate speech has totally ramped up. Even here in the United States, I'm going to show you cases in which the Bible has been pulled because of its promotion of hate speech. So to begin here, the World Economic Forum has called for religious scripture to be rewritten by artificial intelligence to create a globalized new Bible. This is factual, and I'm going to show you this here in a few. Yuval Noah Harari, who serves as Klaus Schwab's right-hand man at the World Economic Forum, argues that the Bible is fake news and full of hate speech, and the elites can use AI to replace the Bible and create a unified religion that is actually correct. Harari, also known as the prophet in Davos circles, made the statement while giving a speech on the future of humanity. And if you go to his YouTube channel, it's like one of his more recent videos that, again, we're going to look at it. This is it right here. This is his YouTube channel, Yuval Noah Harari, 500,000 subscribers. Humanity is not that simple. And he's talking with a gentleman in Portugal about the future. According to Harari, the power of AI can be harnessed and used to reshape spirituality into the World Economic Forum's globalist vision of equity and inclusivity. Oh, that sounds familiar. According to the World Economic Forum, a new one world religion has arrived, and it unites all of humanity in worshiping at the altar of climate science, occult, techno-communism, and eugenics. According to the World Economic Forum, God, Jesus, and Christianity is fake news that must be dismissed by humanity. Blasphemy doesn't stop there. The World Economic Forum has also announced that there have been so successful in their plans that they will turn humans into gods. And that is really articulating this book right here, Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, again, written by, of course, Yuval Noah Harari. The World Economic Forum is becoming increasingly hostile to Christianity and major religions. It is clear that Klaus Schwab is attempting to supplant Jesus. But again, I'm going to pull up the most persecuted religion in the world is still Christianity. I have another article highlighting that. So, they may be persecuting other religions or not as friendly to other religions, but it's quite clear that Christianity most specifically is the one that's under attack. According to the World Economic Forum, Jesus is fake news, God is dead, and you don't have a soul. You are a hackable animal who does not have the capacity for free will. And he's very explicit that you do not have free will. And this is where in this book, he puts forth what's actually a really important crux to the philosophy of transhumanism called dataism. And that looking at the world as organic, inorganic, biological, artificial, this is antiquated forms of thinking. And for him, he says, what we need to think about is dataism. The only thing that's important is data. Data from the Hubble telescope, data from your web browser, data from whatever it may be. And therefore, we need advanced artificial intelligence to sort all this data, because you as a human, you can't filter and comprehend and understand that much data. So we need advanced artificial intelligence to do that for us. He's quite clear. This is, again, explicit in this book. And that's why he argues, there will be, by 2050, there will be no biological humans left on the planet, because being a cyborg will be so beneficial, according to him. Shout out to Jacob. He throws in $5. He says, great show, man. Thank you for your work. Another proponent of Bible equals fake news is Ralph Ellis. Would love to see you tackle his beliefs one day. Best, Jacob. I'm not familiar with Ralph Ellis. I have to look into him. But thank you so much, Jacob, for the $5 super chat. Truly do appreciate it, brother. The people at the Economist know things that most people don't, and their magazine covers a long history of telling us in advance about political, economic, and cultural developments that the elite have in store for us. Just 1 month before Harari's speech, the Economist appeared to be singing from the same hymn sheet. So here's the Economist. Is it godlike or is it devilish, right? Fox News, now what? Special report on the car industry. The elites laid the groundwork for this plan years ago, and now they're making their move. Klaus Schwab famously boasted about how his young global leaders have taken over the world, and the WEF has penetrated cabinets in all the leading democracies. The COVID pandemic was a dress rehearsal for the elites to turn the globe into a digital prison. In the UK, supermarkets have begun rolling out a new World Economic Forum digital passport scheme that denies ordinary citizens the ability to buy food if they are on a blacklist for non-compliance. According to disturbing footage posted on Twitter this week, the Aldi supermarket chain has begun denying entry to people who do not have a WEF-approved digital passport on their phones. He's not wrong when he says this looks like the beginnings. Oh, actually, in the viral video, a man behind the camera showed viewers barriers blocking non-passport holders from entering the shopping area. He's not wrong when he says it looks like the beginnings of a digital prison in which the elites have been threatening to incarcerate us. The 15-minute city prisons of the future have arrived in many parts of the UK. I believe Cleveland, Ohio, is one of the first U.S. cities to want to move towards a 15-minute city, meaning you can't leave beyond 15 minutes of your home. People shopping at the high-tech store do not have to check out after scanning their phones, as cameras watch what items they take, tally up the total cost, and automatically remove the amount from the user's bank account, assuming they have complied with the elite and have a suitably high social credit score. Of course, many Christians argue the whole process of scanning phones to enter public areas is getting people accustomed to doing so ahead of a microchip or digital tattoo that would be rolled out akin to the mark of the beast, the system predicted by the Bible. Amazon and other companies have also recently launched similar shops in several countries. All the signs suggest we are rapidly moving toward a world in which the WEF, or the World Economic Forum's fake Bible, will be accepted by the masses. According to the elite, humanity can be conditioned as easily as flies in a jar. And so what does he mean by being conditioned by flies in a jar? Let me show you. This is what is being meant by that.
The fleas are placed inside the jar. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behavior is now set for the rest of their lives.
Is that a good metaphor for the state of the world that we're in? It sure seems like it, based on how many people I still see wearing masks. Anybody who's been traveling lately, it's ridiculous. Unfortunately for the elite, it's not going to be easy as they thought. In recent years, more and more people have begun waking up to their agenda, thanks to people like yourself who have chosen to take the red pill and reject the siren song of the establishment media and their fake news. Humanity now stands a fighting chance against the elite agenda. So let me show you a few things of the comments then coming from Yuval Noah Harari. Guys, smash that like for everybody who's here. I'd greatly appreciate that. Smash that like. This is a TikTok highlighting where he's talking about the Bible being fake news. So this is just a quick little TikTok taking clips from Yuval Noah Harari. So we'll watch this, and then we'll watch the most recent interview where he talks about AI rewriting the Bible.
People will think it's the truth, and the bigger the lie, the better. Because people won't even think that it's not something so big can be a lie, and I think that fake news have been with us for thousands of years. Just think of the Bible, but there is
It says, "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none who does good." Psalm 141.
One option that some people talk about is that only a catastrophe can shake humankind and open the path to a real system of global governance. And they say that we can't do it before the catastrophe, but we need to start laying the foundations so that when the disasters strike, we can react quickly. But people will just not have the motivation to do such a thing before the disaster strikes. So the next step is we turn our gaze inwards and we say, okay, gaining control of the world outside us did not really make us satisfied. Let's now try to gain control of the world inside us. This is the big, really big project of science and technology and industry in the 21st century will be to try and gain control of the world inside us, to learn how to engineer and produce bodies and brains and minds. These are likely to be the main products of the 21st century economy. When people think about the future, very often they think in terms, oh, I want to gain control of my body and of my brain. And I think that's very dangerous. We have all this still myth of free will, that everything we choose is of our own free will. And this is a myth that served us well for a couple of centuries, but now it's becoming dangerous. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. But control of data might enable human elites.
Yeah, so you already get an idea of where that's going. So controlling data, controlling especially biomedical data, that's where, I don't know if you saw, who was it? Was it Ancestry.com that was just bought by like BlackRock? And it just showed that, or maybe it was 23andMe or something. It was one of those, ancestor companies to look at, what your genetic ancestry is. And BlackRock now owns all the data that's been given to those companies in addition to them buying it. So, as you would expect, if you were BlackRock and you basically cornered the entire global market, you're the largest, you and Vanguard are the largest basically corporations in the world, and nobody knows who's on your board. Of course, you'd want to buy these companies so you have access to everybody's biomedical data. Next thing that I want to show you guys is then the clip. We're going to just play this. We're going to play about 2 minutes of this. This is his clip talking about how, you know, again, building upon what he's already said. Oh, you know, the Bible's fake news, that Jesus guy's fake news. What we need is an artificial intelligence to rewrite something that's actually correct, actually not fake news, as they would say. And so I'm going to play then a clip of the fake news part after this. But here's his most recent interview. This is what, 12 days ago, over on his YouTube channel, Yuval Noah Harari. So check this out.
Developed by cycles. We need to rest sometime. AI never needs to rest. Now, the other two things we need to know about AI is that first, it's the first technology ever that can make decisions by itself. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, all these worries about AI. Every time there is a new technology, people worry about it, and afterward it's okay. Like when people invented writing and printing presses and airplanes, they were so worried, and in the end it was okay, AI will be the same. It's not the same. No previous technology in history could make decisions. You know, even an atom bomb actually empowered humans, because an atom bomb can destroy a city, it cannot decide which city to bomb. You always need a human to make the decision. AI is the first technology that can make decisions by itself, even about us. Increasingly, we apply to a bank to get a loan. It's an AI making the decisions about us. So it takes power away from us. The third thing about AI that everybody needs to know, it's the first technology ever that can create new ideas. You know, the printing press, radio, television, they broadcast, they spread the ideas created by the human brain, by the human mind. They cannot create a new idea. You know, Gutenberg printed the Bible in the middle of the 15th century. The printing press printed as many copies of the Bible as Gutenberg instructed it, but it did not create a single new page. It had no ideas of its own about the Bible. Is it good? Is it bad? How to interpret this? How to interpret that? AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible. We, you know, throughout history, religions dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. Every religion claims our book, all the other books of the other religions, humans wrote them. But our book, no. It came from some superhuman intelligence. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. That just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. That could be a reality in a few years.
And that's the general premise right there. And they've been pretty explicit with it. And so then if you go to the World Economic Forum and look at some of their stuff, you know, you can see how you can go to their Twitter page, see how worried they are about misinformation. Some of you guys may have seen the stir going on with RF Kennedy, Joe Rogan, and the Biden administration's health expert for jibby jabs. And how the dude, but his name's Peter, was it Hotez or something like that? You know, totally overweight, unhealthy, looks like, you know, he's a basement dweller, and he's in charge of the Jibby Jab program. And the guy, so there's been a whole kerfuffle online about him refusing to debate RFK on the Joe Rogan podcast because there is no debate. There's nothing to debate. And I saw MSNBC had him on this morning saying, oh, you know, you definitely shouldn't debate. This is ridiculous. This is like a World War II historian debating a Holocaust denier. You shouldn't do any of that stuff. That's ridiculous. I can't believe Joe Rogan and RFK would say such things. And again, they don't want to engage in the light of truth. They don't actually want to engage in oh, somebody says my audio's low. Okay, how's this? Better. Check. 1 2 1 2. Okay. Yeah, so they don't really want to engage in actual debate and actual clarity. Let me know if the audio's more clear. I just raised the mic volume, see if this is better. Anyways, here is the video. I'm just going to play a clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
It's not as if people want the truth. They don't want the truth. Fake news is one of the classic collective action problems of our era.
My job is to tell the truth and hope that people believe it.
I don't think fake news is the cause of the problem to democracy. I think that the proliferation of fake news is one of the most important symptoms of a decline in sort of shared values and a shared sense of truth.
The information environment and trust environment for different media is eroding quickly and needs to be corrected. It will get much, much worse very quickly if we don't do something.
There is a very real sense of urgency to tackle the spread of misinformation, or what is more commonly known as fake news, a historical problem that now spreads with a virality once impossible before social media. The problem may be old, but these conditions are new. In fact, the largest longitudinal study on the phenomenon of false news and how it spreads was first published as recently as March 2018.
Oh my gosh, it's almost like the Donald Trump phenomenon. It's almost like post 2016, all of a sudden misinformation is a terrible thing. Misinformation's undermining our democracy. You'll hear this over and over and over again. They always say misinformation is undermining our democracy. Well, the democracy that they control, that you think is real, that's totally fake. And that's why since 2016, they're quite worried about misinformation. Now, I don't want to play too much. I'll play maybe another minute of this video. I don't want to get the stream taken down. But my point is just to highlight that the World Economic Forum is very interested in correcting the ills of misinformation, which we've already seen their profit equate to scripture, equate to the Bible, equate to religions, generally speaking.
After poring over millions of tweets written over the course of 10 years, researchers from MIT concluded that falsehood diffused significantly farther, faster, deeper, and more broadly than the truth. A couple of months earlier,
well, what is the truth? How do we know what the truth is? Oh, it's their official narrative. That's what the truth is. Exactly. We're not allowed to make up our own minds. That's why they tell you, oh, you know, Peter Hote said you can't debate. Oh, you're not allowed to do your own research. You're not allowed to take horse dewormer. What? It's 2 cents in Africa. It's noted for how, we're talking about ivermectin there, how well it works for antiviral diseases. So again,
political scientists from Dartmouth College, Princeton University, and the University of Exeter released equally troubling findings. Through analyzing the browsing history of thousands of Americans in the run-up to the 2016 election, they discovered that 1 in 4 citizens had seen at least one false story. As these patterns begin to emerge, measuring the actual scale and impact of fake news remains elusive, and we seem nowhere closer to solving the problem itself. Part of that difficulty stems from the very fact that there is little consensus on what fake news means.
Exactly. It means whatever is against their narrative.
I think first we have to define fake news because we have 2 competing definitions that emerged over the course of 2016 as I was covering the election.
At USA Today and at the USA Today Network, I actually instituted a rule not to use the phrase fake news. It's not news. What it is false information or propaganda.
There was a very real phenomenon of purported news that was completely fabricated, particularly hoaxes. And that's not a new phenomenon. Anybody who's seen Snopes.com knows that urban legends and rumors that flatter people's biases have existed for as long as we've had human nature. But the internet and social media have given them a new platform, a new altitude, a new ability to spread.
That said, the meme, fake news, as applied to any legitimate news outlet by people who don't like what the news outlet is reporting, that is obviously a major challenge for news organizations.
Okay, you get the point. It's just going to be, the same riffraff that you're always used to. But moving forward here, this is June 3rd of this year, guys. This is this year, 2023. Utah primary schools ban Bible for vulgarity and violence. This is in the United States. This is not somewhere else. This is in Utah, considered the most religious state in the union. Okay, guys, just stay with me here. This is pretty serious. School district in the U.S. of Utah has removed the Bible from elementary and middle schools for containing vulgarity and violence. Vulgarity, what? They called a donkey an ass? What is vulgarity in the Bible? I don't even understand. The move follows a complaint from a parent that the King James Bible has material unsuitable for children. Utah's Republican government passed a law in 2022 banning pornographic or indecent books from schools. Most because they're literally grooming young boys to get into sodomy and various forms of aberrant forms of sexuality. Most of the books that have been banned so far pertain to topics such as sexual orientation and identity. The banning of the Bible comes amid a larger effort by U.S. conservatives in the states to ban teachings on controversial topics such as LGBT rights and racial identity. Bans on certain books deemed offensive are also in place in Texas, Florida, Missouri, and South Carolina. Some liberal states have also banned books in some schools and libraries, citing perceived racially offensive content. The Utah decision was made this week by the Davis School District north of Salt Lake City after a complaint filed in December of 2022. Officials say they have already removed the 7 or 8 copies of the Bible they had on their shelves, noting that the text was never part of the students' curriculum. The committee did not elaborate on its reasoning or which passages contained vulgarity and violence. According to the Salt Lake Tribune newspaper, the parent who complained said the King James, quote, has no serious values for minors because it's pornographic by our new definition. What? Referring to the 2022 book ban law. The Utah state lawmaker wrote in 2022 a law had previously dismissed the Bible removal request as a mockery, but changed course this week after calling it a challenging read for younger children. Traditionally in America, the Bible is best taught and best understood in the home and around the hearth as a family. Ken Ivory wrote on Facebook. Oh, thank you, Ken. We appreciate that. Anyways, you guys get it. So politicians bid to criminalize speaking about Jesus in Israel. Again, this is in March of this year. So I think Benjamin Netanyahu he vetoed the bill, but it got support. It got legitimate support to the point that he had to veto it, that they were going to ban the preaching of the gospel in Israel. Yes, that's true. All the evangelicals and Protestants that are watching, Israel wanted to ban the preaching of the gospel. Any Orthodox Christian knows that Israel is actually quite hostile to Christianity, and it's not uncommon for Orthodox pilgrims and even priests to be spit upon when they're there for their pilgrimage. Here's one that the WEF official calls for okay, we already talked about that. There's the clip, another article. Here is, this is, again, last year, January of last year, this Christian tweeted a Bible verse, and now they're on trial for hate speech. This is a Finnish politician. This wasn't a rando. This was a woman. She was a politician, and she's facing a criminal trial and could be imprisoned after she voiced her Christian beliefs about marriage and sexuality. Yes, marriage and sexuality. Yeah, we don't need to get into that too deep, but you already see where this is going. Next one. This law would jail Christians who preach the word of Christ. The project filed in Israel. That again, just highlighted that. Christians, the most persecuted group in the world as vicious attacks grow. And this has been true for multiple years running now. Here is Yuval Harari when man becomes God. Here's a guy. He's one of the leading voices for religion and globalization at Yale University. So he talks to Miroslav Volf of Yale's University Center for Faith and Culture. Why do we need religion in a globalized world? Well, you get down to it, and he says what you would expect. He holds that living only for worldly reality leads us to a world of competition, bad. Social injustice, bad. Environmental destruction, bad. And is also an obstacle to more just, generous, and welcoming life with social sensibilities. The Yale professor summarized his thoughts in several theses. And so he basically makes the claim that, oh yeah, I'm Christian. I believe in the incarnated God and Jesus Christ. And then just interprets everything through a leftist liberal lens. And so that's what this article is basically about. And so the role for religion and globalization is that we can stay moral, basically. globalization contribute to improving the state of the world only if shaped by the perspectives of human growth and morality. And for him, world religions, all the religions together are going to do that. Sound familiar? World religions articulate perspectives that create a new life of flourishing. At the center is the divine, but they aren't simply lubricants for the gears of globalization, as many people believe. So again, the same liberal nonsense as you'd expect.